Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, look, man, I am with my brothers today, Movie Match Trio. We here, check this out. This show is dedicated to the Justice League. Man, this movie just came out, and this is the first time we're actually talking about it in full. Like, so you guys are getting the front row seat to this discussion. But we haven't discussed it with each other yet. So you are hearing for the first time as we're hearing from each other for the first time. So buckle up. Get ready. We're about to have a conversation, and always we want to encourage you guys. Look, get on social media, get on our pages. We highly recommend
Like,
you
share,
follow us,
subscribe, all of that.
please, and feel free
Notifications.
to comment on anything that we discussed. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel, man. Look, we want to hear from you about anything that we discussed because we're about to go in right now. I'm telling you, we all smiling. We all just seen this movie, and the first thing I want to do is give Zack Snyder a round of applause. There you go, baby.
Clap it up for him, man.
They like that, man. I like that, man. You are a genius, man. You are a genius. Man, look here, man. Yo, release the Snyder cut. I'm glad it finally happened, and we got a movie that is top notch. So we're about to get into it right now. So, all right, gents. So, what was your first thought about the movie? Like, let's start from there. I know we got a lot to discuss, and we never heard from each other. So I want to know, what was your first thought after watching the movie the first time? Because I know we all have watched it several times. I think I got maybe about 16 hours into this movie or something like that. It's crazy, but let me know what your first thoughts. Anybody jump in first?
So
deep breath.
After watching the film about 4 times now, I am still in awe of what Zack Snyder put together. I thought the film was a freaking masterpiece. I thought it was amazing. I thought he was able to tell his story the way he wanted to tell his story. I thought that every character was able to shine in this film. The character development was absolutely phenomenal. I thought everyone had their moments. There was hearts, there was laughter, it was absolutely 100% my all-time favorite DC film to date. Right there, up there with Man of Steel and Aquaman. This film was just by far just what I wanted to see when I was sitting in the movie theaters with you guys the first time we went to watch this movie, and just coming out just with so much more questions. The first time we saw this film in the theaters, this film is exactly what I was waiting for. I was so happy that just what we got in terms of what the fans were able to do in order to get this film out there. Zack Snyder, you are a flipping genius. Your imagery, your storytelling, the way you pull from the source material, my man, you are the man when it comes to making comic book movies. I don't care what anybody says. He is the guy. Look, Marvel is the comic book movie elite, whatever, but this guy makes graphic novel comic book movies
come to life, pretty much. Yeah,
come to life for real. Like, he's it, man. I'm sorry, I'm done.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I get it. I am. I'll just say this. I have never watched a movie that I loved so much while being simultaneously angry.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that? And Rasheen, I know you posted, my reaction immediately after I saw it the first time. And I'm just thinking to myself, and like I said, I'm a lot more active on Twitter than you guys. So I read a lot of stories about what happened behind the scenes as it was happening. And I remember reading an article when Zack Snyder first left, and it said that executives watched a rough cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League and they said it was unwatchable. Is what the execs said. The guys in suits who they said it was unwatchable. And I'm sitting here looking at this movie, and then to see what they put out in 2017. Now, granted, I know that when we first saw the movie, I think it was kind of being a prisoner of the moment, because I was like, man, if you love the animated series, I think that's one of the things I posted. Like, you love the animated series you had, this could be blah 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 blah, whatever. I don't even remember what I said. I don't even want to look back at my old post, because, like I said, that was walking right out the theater where I gave my initial thoughts. But as I went back and watched it a couple more times, I'm like, okay, that don't make sense. That doesn't make sense. How did Bruce Wayne go from a rooftop in Gotham, talking about guys' fear, and to get a parademon, to going to recruit Aquaman? Like, how the heck did he grow a beard so fast? Like, how far is Iceland from Gotham for you to get on the flight and grow a beard that fast? So I know we're giving general thoughts, and I'm going a little bit, but overall,
Just one
let me just say
explanation.
this.
He's rich. He can do that.
I guess being rich comes with beard growing powers or whatever, man. Like when Flash said, "What are your superpowers?" I guess growing a beard quickly is one of them, because that Joker went from clean shaven to a beard by the time he got to Iceland. So I don't know, but just things like that. But bottom line is, and we'll go into detail later, but bottom line is, I mean, I watched it 3 times in the space of 2 days. So that just tells you how I feel about it. As Danny said, Marvel is good at what they do. They're great at what they do, but I don't want my DC movies to be like that. I want it to be grittier while still having heart, while still having humor, so it's not a joke fest, but the humor was just organic. The story, it made more sense as to why each person was there. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like they were there just because it's a Justice League movie and you have to bring them there. It's like every one of them had a stake in what was going on, and everybody's quote unquote power played a significance in that story, and it played a significance in the end goal. When we go into detail, we could talk about that more, but there was literally no character that didn't have something to do with the storyline. You know what I'm saying? So overall, it was just beautiful, man. And of course, Zack Snyder is a visual master. Like when it comes onto his style of shooting stuff, the way he shoots fight scenes, the way he shoots, his speed ramping, his slow-mo, everything, it just is beautiful. Even going back to his Watchmen days, it's just second to none, man. And again, I didn't expect it. I mean, I don't want to say I didn't expect to have so much heart. I knew it was going to have heart, but I just found moments where I was just like, man, that is beautiful. Like, why would they cut that out? But overall, I loved it. I just can't wait. Like I said, I got a lot to say when we go into the detail part. But Sheen, take it away.
Okay.
General thoughts.
Okay, well, I'm pretty much on board. I mean, I don't really have much to add to more than what you guys
man.
had already said. No, it's all good. We chatted it up, we talked it up.
Just can't stop smiling, man.
Yeah, it definitely was one of the best superhero movies that I've seen, period. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's 4 hours. It's 4 hours." Believe me, if you haven't seen it yet, by the time you look up, you're like, "Man, I'm already 2 hours into this. Oh man, we're in the third hour." You don't really know the difference because it keeps you engaged from the very first couple of scenes with Wonder Woman kicking butt. The whole battle scene in Themyscira. It just from the very beginning, it just hits you in the mouth and it keeps you engaged. The story doesn't really get dry. And even sometimes when the story seems to kind of die out a little bit, it brings you right back up there again. And it gives you another reason to be captivated by what's going on the screen. I think it was written very well. It was very genius the way everything laid out. It was very smooth, the transitions between scenes. It was a well thought, put together movie from front to back. Very, very, very high caliber type of movie. And this movie set the bar very, very high. Not just for other DC movies, but even for Marvel. They have to come with it to even get on this kind of level. And I said it a while back. I think when we saw Aquaman, I said, even though DC doesn't have as much movies as Marvel, I think that DC is trying to put out more quality than really quantity. Um, because the last couple of DC movies that we've seen was really good. If you think about, you have this Justice League movie. Before that, we had Shazam and we had Aquaman. Those were pretty much the last three
And Joker.
movies, and the Joker. Sorry, I forgot about the Joker. Those four movies were quality movies,
One
and
of them won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Joker won 2 Oscars for best score and for best acting. Joaquin Phoenix.
So I mean, like I said, they're doing their thing, and they're doing things very strategically. And with this one, they really put their stamp on, hey, we coming with it when it comes onto these movies. And I know a lot of people think, okay, well, it's rated R and different things. I think the only reason why it's rated R is because I think there were like 3 or 4 times that they dropped the F-bomb, and so because they did that, they had to.
And there was some blood. There was some blood too. There was blood
right?
too.
Yeah, a little blood too. Some mild violence in it. But besides that, it's the majority of the movie is pretty much PG-13.
It's a soft R. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really soft R. And I just think altogether, it was just well put together.
The last F-bomb wasn't needed.
It really
all
was
the way at the end of the movie.
I was kind of like, really?
I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people tend to think the rated R, it scares people away from it being a family movie. But it really is, like Jelani said, it had a lot of heart. Well, both of you said it had a lot of heart. It brings you through a range of emotions, shock and awe, right up into, oh man, that's just wow, that's powerful. And some of the imagery that you see there, I mean, it's very powerful. Even just the fight with oneself, I think overall the whole entire story was bomb. So I really, really, really love this movie. So those are my initial thoughts. So all right, so let's chat it up a little bit about the
dive in
about the story.
No pun intended.
Right,
Aquaman.
Yeah.
There
you go.
Let's dive. Well, we can kind of do twofold. So into the story, let's kind of dive into it. What did you both see in terms of the story, how it flowed, and then also how it differed from 2017? I know we both mentioned it in our initial thoughts, but what do you think, or how do you think it flowed between the story in general and how it compared to 2017? I call it the Justice League.
Yeah. That's what everybody's calling it.
Yeah.
Everybody calls it Justice League. Right?
Yeah, as soon as I heard it, I was like, yep. I started calling it since I heard it for the first time. So,
I think the main thing for me is the connection, like just the clarity in the film, from the jump, which is with the death of Superman, and how the death of Superman basically woke the mother boxes.
Yeah, it was like the fuse starter, pretty much.
Yeah, like in the 2017 Justice League, we had this mustache Superman talking to a kid, and then it just jumped from that to just the intro to the movie of like the ceremony of like the, what do you call it?
You're talking about the first one?
Like, the first one.
Yeah, and it was pretty forgettable. That's because
I'm sitting there trying to figure out what's ceremony.
It just went into Batman on the roof, right? With the villain. But in this one, you understand why the mother boxes were activated with the death of Superman and his cry. And I was like, bro, that makes sense.
And then when you see the shock waves go through everything, it goes through Cyborg's apartment till it wakes up the blocks of man, and you seen it go to Themyscira, and then you see underwater where it wakes up the one in Atlantis, and it's like, okay, so now they know that Superman is dead, and
you see Lex in the ship with Steppenwolf, which was in the end of BVS. You see, which was kind of dope, that you see the women of Themyscira just sitting there as their job, guarding this mother box, and all of a sudden you see it waking, and they just they just jump up ready
Right.
to like, they're like shocked, like what
Because
is going
they've been
on?
guarding it for thousands of years, and nothing
Yeah.
happened. And as soon as they see it move, and I think you and I talked about this before, that's why she went up to and touched it. It was like, okay, like what's going on here? Because they were shocked after all this time. It's moving. So yeah, that's
So
definitely there.
even that with continuity, like you mentioned, the flow of it, like you're seeing stuff connecting from the
Yeah.
start of the film. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why would Josh change that beginning part. Like that played such a pivotal part for me in terms of understanding the mother boxes, period. Like, okay, this is why they were awakened. This is why it called to Steppenwolf because of the death of Superman. This is the connection. Okay, let's explore that. And then you see the transition to where Bruce is searching to, because we understood in BVS that he was all right, let's go look for these people so that we can assemble a team. Because he knew, okay, because at the end he spoke to Diane, he was like, yo, we're gonna need more people to
Mm-hmm.
fight what's coming. So he already had it in his mind that I'm on a mission to do this. So already you saw the continuity. It was like the transition from one film to the next, right?
Yeah.
So there's not there. It's just flowing into the next film. So you're not questioning why Bruce is in Iceland, like you mentioned. He's
Right.
already on his mission, and
And
that's
not
why
only
he's
that,
there to meet. Yeah.
and we're talking about continuity. I like if you think about the films as far as the starting with Man of Steel, you have Man of Steel, then BVS picked up where Man of Steel ended with Bruce. It's showing it from a different vantage point of the battle in Metropolis. Because remember, in Man of Steel, you're looking at it, you're watching Zod and Superman fight. We don't really see what's going on the ground level. I mean, yeah, there are some shots, but in BVS, it showed that there was utter chaos. Nobody really knows who's fighting what, who's doing what. So it gives you a different vantage point. And then he did the same thing here. We're looking at Superman ramming a kryptonite spear through Doomsday, but we really don't see what's going on the other side. Like, we don't see how Lois is reacting. We don't see how Wonder Woman reacted. We don't see how Batman reacted. So at the beginning of this movie, you're seeing it from their vantage point, and you see like the shot, it zooms in on Batman, and you see he starts to tear up a little bit because the guy that he just tried to kill literally just sacrificed his life to save the world, and that's what really sparked him. That's why at the end of BVS, he said, I failed him in life, I won't fail him in death. Help me find others like you. But now you get a better understanding of why he said that, because you saw how he reacted when you seen Superman give his life, to save the world. So I thought that was something that was so powerful. And again, for the life of me, can't understand why they would cut something like that. Because again, remember, Bruce Wayne in BVS, and I know a lot of people had an issue with it, and I think to a certain extent, you were supposed to make you feel uncomfortable how Batman was just gunning dudes down and whatever. It's like he didn't care anymore. Like, he was grittier. He was like, I've seen so much bad stuff. I got to take this guy out. And he literally lost himself, during BVS after that battle of Metropolis happened. He just didn't care anymore. You know what I'm saying? So seeing how he was acting, like he was the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? So on that note, I just think that it was something that was so powerful to see from the different vantage point that he was sad that Superman died, and that kind of brought him back to the light. Which, and I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, which is kind of Superman's sacrifice pulled him out of the darkness. Remember, at the end of the movie, Superman helped Bruce Wayne
Out
up
of the thing, right?
Yeah.
out of the
The
tunnel.
silo.
I
Yeah.
thought that was so
Yeah.
symbolic, because symbolically he literally did that for him at the end of BVS, and he did that for the end of him to the end at the end of this for him as well.
Right.
That's good.
Right.
That's true, man.
Yeah. And I like also in terms of the story how they developed um Cyborg and Flash's story.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot more details on their part in the story, where in the 2007 version,
You got nothing.
You really didn't get anything.
Don't get me started on that, man. Listen,
It's like, and it showed also how much more of an importance those two had in terms of saving the world. Because in the 2017, some people tend to think, why are they even part of the team when, okay, well, Cyborg, the only thing that he did was separate the box, and that's all well and good. And Flash, he ran around and saved people, and they kind of tell him, oh yeah, do this, like go away, go rescue some people. But even with the Flash, it's like, if it wasn't for him doing what he did at the end of the movie, the whole thing would have went to crap. Like like there would have been no future. He had to actually defy the laws of the Speed Force to do what he did, and went faster than the speed of light in order to save everybody, everybody, the entire world. Because if he didn't do that, it would have been over with. And it showed how important his role is. So he kind of went from the little peons at the as a part of the team to one of the most important pieces of the team. And I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy.
And the way they showed it, I'm sorry. And the way they showed it, it was like, remember, the world exploded out this way. So he literally was running in the opposite direction of how it exploded, and you seen it coming back. Like it like nobody displays superpowers the way Zack Snyder does. It's just like you see all of the dust start to come back together, all the street lights, all the buildings just start to come up. And don't get me started on Cyborg, man.
And you know what? And before we go into Cyborg, what I appreciated, I'll just talk that. What I appreciated about his imagery, even when he wasn't in the Speed Force. First, when he took off, you saw him taking off from Earth, the regular realm, and he's dashing towards the Speed Force to go into it. And now, if you read the comics, and I know you guys see it, the Speed Force is not just an area. It's the Speed Force is a living entity, right? So even as he's running through the Speed Force, you see it pulsating, and you see it like moving, and certain things. So it seemed like it's alive. It almost seemed like, and you saw like the lightning going in certain paths, almost like veins, blood flowing through an artery type thing. And just the imagery, because I was watching him run through the Speed Force, but I'm looking around, the imagery around it, and it seemed like it was alive as he's going through it, and as he's seeing as stuff moving, memories, and hearing voices and different things. Because when you run through the Speed Force, you're running actually through time, and so there's other things that are happening simultaneously, or it's happening in reverse as he's reversing time. So I even thought that imagery was just like, was ridiculous. I think I rewound that part like maybe 5 or 6 times just to see him running through the Speed Force.
But the thing I love about it is that the way he wrote each character was dealing with something internally, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Aquaman was dealing with his stuff personally, dealing with what he was dealing with the Atlanteans, on how he felt about his mother leaving him behind and why he was angry with the Atlanteans. Cyborg was dealing with his father and his anger towards his father and not being there, always working, and then, keeping him alive by using the mother box to keep him alive, and him dealing internally, like his mother dying, but him still being alive. And then the Flash dealing with, his father being in prison. Like, everybody had something going on internally. Diana dealing with not being in Themyscira, missing her family, missing.
Right.
Everybody had something. Superman coming back, like everybody. Batman dealing with, the death of, one of the Robins, and him dealing with, losing people. And bro, everybody had something internal. Like, that's the one thing I like about his storytelling, is that even though they're superheroes, they're dealing with some internal stuff. And everybody had a story that even though they were dealing with stuff internally, they were still willing to save humanity, even with their internal stuff that they were dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like, they still thought on themselves.
And then also, you mentioned everybody had the story, because Aquaman, because even at that time, he still had the mindset that his mother left him.
Yeah.
Right. And his mother left him. He said, "Oh, I'm going back to my father." And he said, "Why should I come? Because my mother left us, by ourselves or whatever." And and Amira had to say, "No, she left to save your life, to save you and your father's life." Because a lot of people tend to forget that this Justice League movie is before Aquaman.
Yep.
And
It actually, and that's another thing. It actually leads into Aquaman because remember, and Momoa gave an interview saying that when he left at the end of Zack Snyder's cut, he left and said, "I got to go see my dad." He was on his way to go see his dad in the beginning of Aquaman when he runs into that submarine. That's why after he saved the submarine, that's why he went and hugged his dad like that, because he literally just finished saving the world with the Justice League. And then that's why in Aquaman, when she said, you fought Steppenwolf and helped, and he was like, that had nothing to do with Atlantis, because it didn't. It was like, it had to do with saving the world. So it had nothing to do with Atlantis. And then even in Aquaman, he says something like, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told that rusty old starfish, Volko, but nicer, except you're a lady. He said, I'm not interested. And I'm like, hold up. He never spoke to Volko. This is after the 2017 version. I'm like, he never spoke to Volko. So why would, or we never seen him do it. So why would he? So now you've seen the conversation he had with Volko, which is Willem Dafoe's character. You've seen him talk to him and you've seen him tell him, how he doesn't like Atlantis. And, and that's another thing.
And you see him get his mother's Triton in that conversation.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Is,
and
you don't even know why he has a Triton in the other film.
Right. And he doesn't. Well, he kind of says to Mira, "I'm gonna need something from you." So they kind of implied it, but still, you still ain't really know like what it. The way this story did it was a lot better. And then another thing, just how it ties into Aquaman, when he said, "Why don't you tell King Orm about it?" And he said, "Orm is fanning the flame because." So what Orm was doing was he was lying to the Atlanteans and telling them that it's the surface world that are kidnapping people, but really was the parademons. You see what I'm saying? So even there, it was planting that seed on how Orm was trying to wage war against the surface. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the mother boxes weren't guarded in Atlantis as well as it was guarded in Themyscira, because he was pulling people from guarding the mother box, to try to start, so it really connects to that, man. And listen, man, we gotta get into Cyborg, man, because listen.
All right, go ahead, man. Since you already
okay,
go ahead.
So here's the thing. And Cyborg is mainly Cyborg, but because Ray Fisher has been very vocal about a lot of the behind the scenes drama, right? And if you watch the 2017 version and you watch this Zack Snyder's Justice League, the only thing that he didn't have to reshoot was that rooftop scene in Gotham. Everything else he reshot with Joss Whedon. And now you see why he's been so upset and so vocal about releasing the Snyder Cut, because Zack said at the beginning that he is the heart of this movie. And listen, like I said, everybody had a significant role to play, but Cyborg having to go inside the mother box and to separate them and have to, because remember, he lost his mom in an accident, and then he lost his dad as well, which was another genius. I'm talking about just beautifully written thing, because I'll get into that later. But, when his father kept him alive, and this is one of the things I have written down here, his arc is restored because everything that Cyborg, all the powers that he has, he's literally connected to all the computers and all the, any kind of digital database. He can do it with the snap of his fingers, and I love how they showed how he works inside of his mind. I love the way that he displayed it. It was like he was still in his Gotham jacket, inside of his mind. And you saw when he went to the bank and you saw like the bull and the bear market, fighting each other like it does in real life, and how he just kind of separated and walked in. And one of the most powerful parts in the movie, and I promise you, I rarely get choked up in movies, but when he walked through the bank and he was looking around and he's seeing everybody's bank accounts, and then the one that caught his attention was the one that had the least amount of money. So he was, pretty much looking at this woman's life, through different cameras. And one of the parts that really got me was that she was a waitress and she got a tip. And when she walked out the restaurant, she saw a homeless guy and she gave him the money, So it kind of showed how selfless she was. And he saw that in her, so he went and he did that. And it was funny because she had $11.92 in there. And you saw him do like this, boom, and then you see the $11.92 show up, and then when you look at the ATM, she had 11.92, and she had 100,011.92. So it kind of showed digitally what he did in there. Not only that, I also want to point out the fact that Cyborg, there was a foreshadowing to that as well, because I remember when he was at college and they were talking to his mother, he was like, he can't just hack into the computer and give people good grades. And the lady was like, well, her family lost the house. What did you do to help her? He did it because he's a good person. So that kind of foreshadowed what he did for that lady, you know. And then, God, so much about Cyborg, just this character itself, man. And one last thing I'll bring up about him is that there was a parallel. There's a parallel between Superman's arc and Man of Steel and Cyborg's arc here. Because remember, in Man of Steel, when Superman was testing his powers, he was listening to the voice of his father. It wasn't his actual father talking to him. It was a recording. It was like his consciousness talking to him, telling him that, you know, you're going to give them an ideal to strive towards. You know, you'll never know your powers unless you push yourself, Kal-El. And that's when he took off and did his first flight. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, that same parallel happened with Cyborg, because Cyborg was listening to a recording of his father telling him that these are what your powers are, you know, and he also told him that the challenge is not being able to do it, but it's if you should do it, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that Jonathan Kent told Clark in Man of Steel. He was like, you know, with these powers you have to decide what kind of man you're going to be. Right. Silas told him the same thing. And again, that was happening in a different way. And while they were doing that, they both had their first flights, you know, while they were listening to the voice of their fathers. You see what I'm saying? And then they both had their fathers sacrifice themselves, you know, so that their sons can save the world at some point. You see what I'm saying? Right. So when Silas heated up the mother box, I was like, at first I was like, why is he doing that? Because they just said you can't destroy it with heat. So when they explained, like, no, he heated it up so that most satellites can pick up on that radiation. I was like,
the hottest thing on Earth.
It's going to be the hottest thing on Earth so that a satellite can pick it up. And, you know, Bruce Wayne has all the satellites. And not only that, he knows that
you have a satellite.
Cyborg,
I have 6.
6, exactly. And I'm thank you for saying that. And that's another thing. It was like that wasn't like a forced joke. It was like Batman was being serious. He wasn't trying to be funny. He was just answering a question. But the way it was done, it was funny, but it was just a normal conversation. It wasn't like, hey, look at me, I'm being funny. You know, it was just like, oh, you have a satellite? Like, yeah, I got 6. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my tangent on Cyborg. And then, you know, other people of color that were cut out of the movie, man. And that's another thing Ray Fisher was talking about, how there were just certain things that, you know, his mother, even though Silas was in the theatrical cut, his importance in this one
was way important.
Yeah.
Way better, you know. And then his mother, even though she had a short part in it, you know, she told him, you know, after what I see you can do today, I can't wait to see what you can do tomorrow. And then right after that is when she dies. You know what I'm saying? The lady that was playing the single mother, you know, she's an Asian woman that lives in London. And I saw a tweet and she said that she was cut out of Whedon's version. And I guess because of where she is, she can't access, you know, Zack Snyder Justice League. So she put out a tweet, you know, asking, you know, people, hey, am I in this cut? And people just flooded her with so much love, man. You know, we gotta pull that tweet up somehow. But bro, it's just beautiful how, you know, how diverse this cast is. You know, Dr. Choi with Silas, you know, he's Adam. He's the Adam that's after Ray Palmer in the comic books. And I remember telling you guys, he could have went with Ray Palmer, but no, he chose the second Adam because he's an Asian guy. Yeah. He wanted diversity in this cast. So and then don't get me started on the Amazons, powerful women. Oh, I've been talking for a while, man. Y'all go ahead, man. I'm just so full, man.
Even with Cyborg character, you see his power.
Yeah.
In the Joss Whedon cut, you don't see the importance of all that he can do. You know what I'm saying? You don't see what's at stake for him, like, at all. And just the simple fact that he can, for instance, he's the one that fixed Bruce's plane while at a different location. You know what I'm saying?
After him trying for a while, and he said,
he was the one that was speaking to the plane to to restore it. You know what I'm saying? And it was like you diminished all that storytelling, all even the conversation that they had at the hangar around the mother box.
Yeah. Oh man, that was so good.
Conversation made so much more sense in terms of why they thought they could bring Superman back to life, just based off of the storytelling that Cyborg gave them of what the mother box could do.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
and that's amazing. You know what? I laugh about thinking about it now. In the Josh Whedon's version of Cyborg, he looked pretty basic, right? You didn't really see his significance, his in terms of the amount of his power just going beyond. Okay, I could tap into the Nightcrawler and get it to operate, and pretty basic stuff. And at the end, separating the mother box, and then you didn't really start seeing him coming into his full power until maybe at the end of the Josh Whedon's version, when his uniform kind of changed a little bit. Like it and
that was pure fan service, man. Like they tried to.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you. And the thing is, and they kind of used him, and I hate to say it, or maybe I don't hate to say it, but
it's the truth. Just say it.
Yeah, it seemed like they tried to make Cyborg like the Cyborg in Teen Titans.
Yes,
even at the end, I mean, just that whole last scene when it's like, oh, my legs hurt. I don't even understand the dynamic or the physics of that.
My toes hurt.
Like, and just that and him, booyah. I was just like, when he said that,
he didn't want to say that, right?
You could tell.
Yeah, he didn't want to say that. That was a big controversy because he didn't want to say that. It's like,
and at first I wasn't even mad at that at first, because
I wasn't either.
Like the Teen Titans series, the one that used to come on Cartoon Network, the one before the other one. So
not
I wasn't
Teen Titans
mad
Go.
at that.
Not Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, not Teen Titans. The other one. Yeah, exactly. So I wasn't even mad at that, but after a while, I was kind of like, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, they really tried to, and that's another thing that Ray Fisher said. When Chris, and talking about writing, you got to remember Chris Terrio, who wrote the screenplay. He's an Academy Award winning screenwriter. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So now that I've seen this version, I can see like, this dude is a really talented writer. Like he put a lot into that script. Just how they talked about, how a match can turn somebody with a match can turn a house to smoke, but a mother box can turn the smoke back into a house. Turn the smoke back into a house. And as soon as they said that, the Superman theme from Man of Steel came on. The moment he said it, and then Flash was like, I'm not going to say who's going to say it. And then the hologram just came up, and then I'm just like, man, like, how do you watch this? How everything is explained. And I love the fact that there wasn't any kind of conflict into bringing because remember, there was like a big fight in Joss Whedon version. With Steve Trevor tell you that, like Pet Cemetery and blah, blah, blah. But this one, it was like, he's needed. Like, there's Bruce said it. There's no us without him. And even when Alfred was like, if you can't bring down a charging bull, don't wave the red cape at it. And he was like, you do one of this red cape. This red cape charges back. You see what I'm saying? So it's like it showed that you needed Superman. And even the fact that they brought up like, he used a mother box to wake up Cyborg, but Steppenwolf didn't come until Superman died. So it showed like, they were scared of him. And at the end, when Superman came in, you can see why. Because, I mean, they were struggling to fight him. But as soon as Superman came in and he got washed, because remember, the whole time Diana was fighting him, she ain't cracked a smile.
Yeah.
As soon as Superman was there, she smiled. I was like, what? And then it was just, and even just the way that they came together and killed him was like,
but even, go ahead.
No, I'll just say, what had me cracking up laughing was, even at the end, when the portal opened and you see Darkseid and everybody standing there, and they sent Steppenwolf back in there with his head cut off, and they were all standing looking at the portal, and they were like, "Come on, Cletus, come on, Cletus. If you walk over here, you're gonna go limping back," kind of deal.
Exactly.
And he was just like,
ready.
Yeah, he was like, "Nah, I don't want none of that. No, that's I don't want."
Well, he wouldn't have been able to go through anyway because they separated the box.
Right.
But listen, and even with Darkseid, man, I'm telling you, his presence, even though he wasn't in the film much, like his presence was. And let's talk about Steppenwolf, man. let's talk about Steppenwolf.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they made him look like Liam Neeson. Is that the guy's name from Taken?
Yeah.
I don't know why they changed. Like, but more than his design, you finally understand. And that's one thing I love about movies, when you have a villain that you might not agree with their actions, but you can understand their motive. Like in Man of Steel, you understand that Zod just wanted to preserve Krypton by any means necessary. Steppenwolf was trying to get back in good graces with Darkseid because, he failed him. So he was like, if I can deliver Earth to him, I can get back in his good graces. So it was like, that was his motivation. Like, he wanted to get back at the feet of at the foot of his Lord, So, and he would stop at nothing to do it. In Justice League, the theatrical version, I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you didn't, you know what he was doing, but you didn't understand what was motivating him. Like, but now you get, like, he just, it's like even though
only comic book people knew what he was trying to do.
exactly,
If you were the average moviegoer,
you wouldn't really know what he was doing. And then it's like, even though he's in the comic book, Steppenwolf is Darkseid's uncle, but Darkseid is the king. He's the Lord. Yeah. So it's like he's trying to please a father figure in his life. And if you really think about it, that's pretty much what everyone in that movie was doing. That theme of of your father. If you think about Barry with his dad was like, "Yo, stop coming to see me." But remember, you saw how happy his father was when he got that criminal justice, his foot in the door. He starts laughing because even though he had lost hope, now he see what his son is doing. Now he was like, "Yo, I might actually get out of here now." So that's why he was so happy. That's the first time you've seen his dad. I mean, you only seen him twice, but the first time he was kind of dour or whatever. But now that he sees the path that his son is going on, it made him proud. Mm-hmm. There's a moment with Silas when Cyborg sets off the alarm, and Silas was like, "It's a false alarm." And he walks in and he sees his son, and he was like, "Nope, the alarm is going to get everybody out of it." And they kind of gave each other a nod. That was pretty much like the last interaction they had before he died. So that was like the last thing that he saw and was like, "Yo, we finally have an understanding of each other." So it's not like his father died with them, quote unquote, at odds. There was something that was respectable.
Yeah, that was a turning point. Turning point in the
right.
relationship.
Bruce Wayne was pretty much a father to the League. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's the one that brought everybody together. So it's like that theme of fatherhood.
And that's why you needed that older Bruce. You know what I'm saying? That's why you needed that Bruce Wayne.
It makes sense now, because remember,
even to Superman, you know what I'm saying? Because he is that older, more aged Bruce Wayne. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And Bruce had that. He had the foresight to say, "Yeah, we need this guy. Like, this ain't gonna work without him." You know what I'm saying?
And it showed, even with Bruce, it showed that how he came through for like a father would. He said, "Look, man, one of my members, his family's in trouble. His mother just lost the farm." So Bruce did what Bruce typically does. He's like, "How did you pull this all off with the bank?" And Bruce was like, "I bought the bank." And it wasn't, and even though it wasn't him trying to be funny, he was being real. But you kind of chuckle at that line. But it's like, I had to do what I had to do in order to help out your family. And if I had to buy the bank to do so that you can get, she can get the farm back, then I'm going to do it.
And then on top, go ahead, sir.
Go ahead. Even with this film, man, you just the continuity is so much more better. Like the scene with Diana receiving the note from her mom with the
arrow. Yeah, let's talk about it.
It made more sense in terms of her knowing how to tell the story to Bruce.
Right.
She was able to go down into the caves and see, the full story of what took place, thousands of years back.
Quick note before you brought up the cave. The way she jumped down and landed in the daggone heels.
Yeah,
I don't understand how the heels didn't break.
Yeah, because I was like, boom. I was like,
what?
I guess suspension of disbelief. I didn't even think about that part. Just the fact that she did that. But go ahead. I had to throw that in there.
Just that fact that scene gets taken out, it creates so much connection and understanding how she knows the story,
right?
How she's able to tell the story, because as she's reading it, she's looking in amazement and surprise. So that means to tell me that it looks like, that her mother never told her that story of what took place thousands of years back.
Right.
Because she's looking at it and she's just reading it like, oh snap. oh snap, so that by the time she gets to Bruce, she knows what's going down and what's coming and what's already here. Because if it wasn't there already, the flame wouldn't be on fire.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then so she's like, Bruce, it's here, bro. Like, it's going down right now.
And then on top of that, and I think you and I talked about this on the phone. On top of that, you remember when she was about to send the arrow, they said that man won't know what it means. He said, but she will. So remember, so when she went there were people just walking around. And it kind of was like they didn't really know what was going on. She went straight for the arrow. She read what she read on top of it. She went down. She saw the arrow there. She put it there. So it's like she knew exactly what to do when she got there. So it kind of confirmed what her mother said. It was like, no, they're not gonna know what it means, but it's strictly for her. So, you know, and I also love that, and this is just a small moment, but right after they did that, I like that there was an outside shot. What's the name of the place in is it called the Louvre or?
Yeah.
I like that they did an outside shot before they went in, which was doing the art, because that adds continuity to Wonder Woman. You see what I'm saying? Because in the theatrical cut, you didn't really know where she was, you know, but at Wonder Woman, at the end of the movie, she knew she worked there. So it just kind of just added that thing. Well, like, hey, that's the place that she was at in Wonder Woman. So it kind of, you know, it added that there. And then go ahead. Yeah.
No. Speaking of that, the whole that point. Remember that point. We're going to go back to that because I didn't want to cut you, but when you spoke about, you know, showing it from the outside so you know where you are. That's one thing I could appreciate about Zack Snyder, what he does visually. I had a note here. It's something that I call visual scaling. So it's like, you know, because I do a lot of videos and stuff like that. It's when you show levels of shots as it pertains to not just wide and the big and, you know, the big battle scene when there's a lot of details, but even down to the very small details, like when Steppenwolf grabbed the dirt, you know, as he goes down and he grabs the dirt, and it shows the detail, even the grains of sand that's fallen through his hands. It shows different levels, and it's so important when you're filming something that you show to scale. You show the big and the massive and the battle scenes and things flying around, and even the very details of, you know, when you're watching certain battle scenes, you're looking in the background and say, oh, you know, there's people that are fighting in the air, you know, against the parademons in the air. So they're flyers, and down to the ground level. And then when it shows down to the very, you know, depths where he's, you know, reaching down into the ground, or you know, showing the feet, when Barry starts running and he turns and it rips off his shoes and everything as he's running, and he stops and he slides, it actually pushes aside the gravel and the road, pieces of the road flies up, and just the details of, you know, he has the hot dog stand, so you see like a hot dog, and he's like, he thinks so fast that it's like, okay, after I do this, I need to go back inside and sit with the dog, so they think, you know, I was just, you know,
sitting here the whole time,
right? Yeah. So he's like, he grabs the hot dog and he sticks it in his pocket, and then so it shows the levels of thought that goes into every visual aspect that he has. Which I thought it was just like, the man's a genius, man. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into part 1 of our discussion on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Part 2 is coming out soon. In the meantime, like, share, and subscribe to Movie Match, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you'll know when new videos are coming. Talk to you guys soon.